Hey folks, welcome again to one of the most enthralling, exciting, enlightening session of Science Scamper for classes 6 to 8 by EduCatUp. And I am your super science teacher Ambika. At EduCatUp, we always empower all our students as how to think and not what to think. So if you want to experience the same, it's the right time to subscribe to the EduCatUp's YouTube channel. The subscription button is just given below, guys. If you like our video, don't forget to press the like button and ensure to hit the bell icon to get all the latest updates from EduCatUp. Now let's start today's session, and the topic for the day is conservation of plants and animals. Yes, how we can protect them, how we can save them is what we are going to discuss today, and it's a very important aspect for the survival on this planet for everyone. Now let's see what are the topics we are going to cover today. Deforestation and its causes, consequences of deforestation, conservation of forests and wildlife, then Biosphere Reserve, flora and fauna, endemic species, wildlife sanctuary, national parks, endangered animals, red data book, migration, recycling of paper, last but not the least, reforestation. So a whole lot of topics, children. Ensure to watch the complete video till the end so that you are properly enlightened with the concepts. Let's move ahead. Now, what do we understand by this word deforestation? De means to end, to reduce, and forestation means the plant cover. So, to reduce or to cut down the plant cover, to cutting down of the trees and plants is known as deforestation. Now, what are the basic reasons for deforestation? Sometimes we need land for cultivation, that means for agriculture, then to make houses, to establish cities, then making furniture or using wood as a fuel, requirement of wood. Then some natural causes of deforestation are forest fires and severe droughts. That means sometimes automatically deforestation occurs if there is a forest fire, if there is a drought, maybe an earthquake, so automatically the forest cover ends. Let's move ahead. Consequences of deforestation. Now, what are the consequences of deforestation? Because of deforestation, there are increased wildlife, increased wildfires, then you have loss of biodiversity, increased atmospheric carbon dioxide, increased droughts, disruption to water cycle, increased flooding. So there are many, consequences or bad effects of deforestation. Now, conservation of forest and wildlife. How we can conserve? We need to protect flora and fauna, that means plants and animals on this planet Earth. And for doing that, we have made certain protected areas which are known as wildlife sanctuaries, national parks and biosphere reserves. Now, the difference between the three is that biosphere reserves are very extremely large in areas, then national parks and wildlife sanctuaries are smallest among the three. Then, in these areas, poaching of animals, cutting down of trees, plucking of flowers, fruits, nothing is allowed. All these activities are strictly prohibited. So that is why these efforts by the governments have really improved the conservation of plants and animals over here. Then, action-packed info, guys. Biosphere, which is the combination of atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere or geosphere. So biosphere is that part of the earth in which living organisms exists or which supports life. Biological diversity or biodiversity refers to the variety of organisms. कितने प्रकार के, कितने तरह के organisms आपको दिखाई देते हैं इस earth पे. And their interrelationships and their relationships with the environment. That is your biodiversity. Let's move ahead. Biosphere Reserve. Now, what do we mean by Biosphere Reserve? The areas meant for the conservation of biodiversity, यानी कि अलग अलग प्रकार के जीव जंतुओं की सुरक्षा के लिए जो बनाया जाए, that is a biosphere reserve. It is for plants, for animals, for birds, for all kind of organisms. It helps to maintain the biodiversity. अलग अलग प्रकार के जीव जंतुओं को जिंदा रखना, वो biodiversity को maintain करने में help करता है. It may also contain other protected areas in it. The best example is Panchmari Biosphere Reserve. Panchmari is a hill station in Madhya Pradesh. It has been declared, the forest of Panchmari have been declared as a biosphere reserve, and in its biosphere reserve, it has one national park, that is the Satpura National Park, and two wildlife sanctuaries, that is Borri and and Panchmari itself. So you can imagine a biosphere reserve is extremely wide, that it has a national park and 2 wildlife sanctuaries in it. Let's move ahead. Now flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means animals. Now some again action packed info guys for you. Species is a group of population which are capable of interbreeding. Species का मतलब क्या होता है कि जो आपस में interbreed कर सकते हैं, जो offsprings पैदा कर सकते हैं, those belong to a one species. All right. Now this means that the members of a species can reproduce fertile offsprings only with the members of their own species and not with the members of other species. Members of a species have common characteristics. For example, human beings, Homo sapiens are one species. So human beings can interbreed, they can produce offsprings, but they cannot produce offsprings with elephant or tiger or giraffe. No, they can't. So that is a species. Endemic species, the species which are particularly found or exclusively found in a particular area are known as endemic species. They are not naturally found anywhere else, but in that particular area only. So they are known as endemic. Like Sal and wild mango are 2 examples of the endemic flora of the Panchmari Biosphere Reserve. Bison, Indian giant squirrel and flying squirrel are some of the endemic fauna of this particular area, that is the Panchmari Biosphere Reserve. Now let's move ahead. Wildlife sanctuaries. Like biosphere forests or biosphere reserves, wildlife sanctuaries also protect and provide suitable conditions to plants and animals. Indian wildlife sanctuaries have unique landscapes, from broad levels forests, mountains forests, bushlands and deltas of big rivers. So you can find wildlife sanctuaries in every kind of a landscape in India. People living in wildlife sanctuaries are allowed to do certain activities such as grazing by their livestock, collecting medicinal plants, firewood, etc. So those who are coming under that particular area, the villages or the farmers which are living over there, they are allowed these certain activities, but killing of animals, cutting down of trees, that is deforestation, hunting, these are strictly prohibited. Now, national park. Large and diverse enough to protect whole sets of ecosystem, preserve flora, fauna and landscapes and historic objects of plant areas. Satpura National Park is the first reserve forest of India, which is a part of Panchmari Biosphere Reserve. The finest Indian teak is found in this forest. There are more than 100 national parks in India, which is a huge number. More than 100 national parks in India. So you can imagine that in India, at a very far level, the protection or the conservation of plants and animals is being done. Let's move ahead. Endangered animals. Animals whose numbers are diminishing to a level that they might face extinction are known as endangered animals. यानी वो animals जिनका नंबर इतना कम होता जा रहा है कि अगर और कम हुआ तो वो लुप्त भी हो सकते हैं, extinct भी हो सकते हैं, उन्हें आप क्या कहते हैं? Endangered animals. Tiger was one of them, and that is why government has launched Project Tiger long back ago. In the country, the objective was to ensure the survival and maintenance of the tiger population in the country. Again, some action-packed info guys. Rock shelters are also found inside the Satpura National Park. These are evidences of prehistoric human life in these jungles. If we say rock shelters, मतलब गुफाएं. These give us an idea of the life of primitive people. Rock paintings are found in these shelters. A total of 55 rock shelters have been identified in Panchmari Biosphere Reserve. Figures of animals and man fighting, hunting, dancing and playing musical instruments are depicted in these paintings in these rock shelters. Alright. Now, red data book. What do we mean by red data book? The source book which keeps a record of all the endangered animals and plants. जितने भी endangered animals and plants हैं, यानी कि जो इतने कम हो गए हैं कि वो कभी भी extinct हो सकते हैं, ख़त्म हो सकते हैं, ऐसे animals and plants की पूरी information आपको red data book में मिलती है. Is maintained internationally by different organizations. India also maintains red data book for plants and animals found in India. Now, migration, migratory birds. That means the birds which fly from their native place to some other place due to the weather conditions, those are known as migratory birds. And migration is something, the exact reason of migration is still unknown. Kaise wo birds, they can fly from Australia to Siberia to India in Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. How they manage the distance, how they know the directions, that mystery is still unknown. But they do so. Alright? Recycling of paper. We should always try to recycle the paper because we get paper by cutting down of trees. So if we need to protect trees, we need to recycle paper. That is the main product. So it takes 17 full-grown trees to make 1 ton of paper. Therefore, we should save paper and we should recycle the paper. Paper can be recycled 5 to 7 times for use. We should save, reuse used paper and recycle it. By this, we can, protect our trees by cutting down. Moreover, the amount of harmful chemicals used in paper making will also be reduced if we recycle the paper. Try to reuse it. If you have a rough notebook, try to use it every bit of that thing rather than just writing 1 line on 1 paper and then throwing it out. Now, reforestation, that means replanting of trees or, planting of trees on that forest area which has been abandoned. जहाँ पे trees cut कर दिए गए हैं, वहाँ पे दोबारा से नए trees लगाना, नए plants grow करना, that is reforestation. We should plant as many trees as much we can do in our life. Even the Forest Conservation Act made by the government of India is aiming at the preservation and conservation of natural forests and meeting the basic needs of the people. That means हमें trees को बचाना भी है और basic needs भी पूरी करनी है. तो हम कैसे करेंगे? Basic needs के लिए trees cut होते हैं, but then we should plant new trees also in place of those trees so that a balance is maintained between all. Isn't it? So children, with this we have come to the end of this super amazing session and I hope that you all have subscribed to the Educatup's YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, do it right now. The subscription button is just given below. If you like our video, don't forget to press the like button and ensure to hit the bell icon to get all the latest updates from Educatup. Now for your super science teacher Ambika, it's time to sign out for the day, but till the time we meet again, be happy, be safe and keep enriching yourself with Educatup. Bye-bye children.